All right, welcome. So this is what I'm doing today. I am fixing a big puncture in a speaker here, and I had no intention of making a video on this topic. It's not like I'm a speaker repair expert and I'm trying to show you how to do it. This isn't any type of tutorial. I just figured, what the heck, might as well turn on the cameras. For those who would like to watch me try to either fumble through it or perhaps have a nice, successful, beautiful job done, that perhaps then you can implement those techniques if you run into this problem too. Or maybe you just wanna follow along. I know a lot of you guys just love seeing guitars on the bench. Now, this isn't a guitar, obviously. It's a speaker, but like I said, this is what I'm doing today. If you wanna watch, glad to have you. So this here is a Marshall G12 Vintage from my original Marshall half stack. My first half stack ever I got when I was about 14, 15 was a Crate G1600 XL. And then when I joined Chimaira, I traded that in. I needed something with a little more oomph. We just went to Guitar Center. I just picked something out. I had no idea about what I was gonna get, but I ended up picking up a brand new Marshall VS100 and a 1960 BV cab, which I later have come to find that those are pretty revered and quite expensive. I don't remember what it was at the time, but anyways, had that, toured with it for, local gigs quite a bit, in and out of clubs, in and out of trailers. The head and the cab got pretty destroyed. And I'm actually in the process of having that retolexed, totally redone. I wanted it to look brand new. My buddy George is doing that for me. And we've been working on it for like a year, or it's been sitting for a year because he stripped off everything. And then we ran into a problem sourcing a particular part for the valve state head, which I'll get into later in the video if I remember. Maybe somebody out there can help us source this particular part that we're looking for. But again, if I remember, I'll get into that later in the video. Anyways, as George was pulling out the speakers, we knew that there was a huge hole in the front of the grill. And he's replacing the grill cover, but we didn't know if the speaker had been punctured behind that. Come to find out, it had. And here it is. This was actually worse than it looks. There's perspective. That was pushed all the way through, as if I just pushed my finger through there. My guess is like a speaker stand or like the top of a hi-hat stand, that rounded edge. That's what it looks like to me, like it might have just poked through the grill and into this. But anyways, that was totally pushed through. And as I pulled this speaker or brought it over and decided I'm gonna try to fix it, because I watched a video on how to fix it. I've been thinking about doing this for months, but just yesterday, I watched a video on how to do it, decided I'm gonna try to do that myself. And I wanted to see if there was any missing material. So I pushed it up from the back and kind of got it in place. I'm gonna get it a little bit better, but it doesn't appear that there's any missing material. So I feel confident that we can make this happen. And I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do following what this guy did in his video. And for those of you who, like I said, maybe were looking for a tutorial or whatever, you might be thinking, well, why don't you just point us to that video? Well, because this is a video about me just giving this technique a try to see if it can be done and how it turns out. What's the worst that could happen? I have to have this professionally done or replace the speaker or something, but yeah. Anyways, I have a ton of footage about that whole Marshall restoration project from the head and everything. George took a bunch of video and photos of the stuff he was doing. And then, taking it all apart. I tell the whole story of the whole thing, history of the cab and the head and all that. And, but then we ran into this problem and now it's just been sitting idle. So I figure in the meantime, we're trying to source these parts. I might as well give this a try here. So, like I said, I tried to move this up. It was completely pushed through. And so it was just a hole and all this stuff in the back. As you can see there, it was all jammed out. And I kind of pushed that through and kind of tried to line it up as best I could. And I'm gonna even try to get it just a little bit better before we get started. Here are the tools we're gonna need, or the items. Just some white Elmer's glue, some tape. This is just water that we're gonna thin the glue out with. And I grabbed myself a couple different paint brushes I'll decide which one I wanna use when we get to that. And we're just gonna paint on some glue and then put some tape over it, let it dry. The tape supposedly just peels right off perfectly, and it just kind of helps keep everything in place while the glue dries. And did I mention that the water is to thin out the glue? I think I may have, but that just allows it to seep into all the little cracks and fibers just a little bit better than if it were just at its full viscosity. So we want to kind of get it in there. We're going to do both sides, and then I'll probably let it dry overnight and then resume this video tomorrow and reveal the results, which you won't have to wait for because it's just going to happen in real time in this video, but I'll have to wait for that. So anyways, right now what I'm going to try to do is just get this as close as I can. It's a little bit bunched up at the top there. I'm not sure, but it feels like flush with the rest of everything. So I'm hoping that's going to be cool. There's a couple like little flaps where I'm not sure if it's supposed to be under or over one side. Maybe like that. Or is that supposed to be under? Maybe that's supposed to be under. Let me try to push that. I hope I don't make this worse. That's not a good idea. I need a smaller tool. Toothpick will work. That's cool. I actually think right there is as best as I'm going to get this thing. I spent a few minutes last night, as I said, trying to line that up. It's pretty brutal, but I don't think I'm going to make it any worse. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to put some glue in this cup. That's probably plenty. If not, I can always add more. And then I want to thin this out, and I thought of just putting like little drops of water in there little by little, but the dude in that other video had a spray bottle, which makes it far easier to control. So I'm just gonna, I don't want to get any water on the speaker. I'm just gonna give this a few and just kind of start like that. How much brush do I want? I kind of like the look of this one. So now I'm just gonna mix this up, start mixing it, and just try to get the perfect consistency. I want it kind of loose, little like, I don't know, milky or something, but not too loose where it's gonna drip at all. And I could control that by if I added too much water, which something tells me I may have just put, even those just a few little squirts, may have been just a little bit too much. But I could always add more glue. Well, I'm gonna start like that and just paint on just a tiny bit and see what happens here. Here we go. It is maybe a tiny bit runny. So I'm gonna just add a little more. Mix that up. Just a little trial and error here. I don't necessarily know that that's running, and this is gonna dry clear, supposedly. I just wanna make sure I get it into all the crevices. And I'm gonna hold it back a little bit. I feel like I'm laying it on pretty thick here. don't want it to seep in to all those cracks. I feel like I just painted over like the whole thing, which wasn't really my intention. But because I feel like you still want this thing to be able to move as much as it possibly can. And I'm going to kind of move the brush in all directions too, just to make sure it seeps on in there. Now, so I guess that's cool. We're going to find out. Now, I'm going to lay some tape over. And again, I would think that this would just, I'm going a longer piece, make it easier to remove at the end. I would think that this would dry onto the glue, you know, like it'd be hard to come off. But the video I watched, the guy reassured that that wouldn't happen, and he was right. It just peeled off, no problem. So just start like that. I'm not gonna totally push down yet because I'm gonna wait till I get the other side, and then I'm gonna kind of push it together, I think. One more. Okay. On to the other side. It actually feels pretty nice and flush on this side. I like that, actually. You can see this, it's pretty good. See that? This side looks a lot better. So I'm confident, it's giving me more confidence, I should say, that after I fill this in with some glue and tape that, I'm gonna press on the other side, or actually I'm gonna sandwich my fingers on each side and try to just smooth it out as much as I can. Let the glue do its thing. Overnight. You see that right there? Here goes nothing. Another reason I'm doing the whole restoration of this rig, my 1960 BV and the valve state, is that about a year ago I got a 1960A lead cab, and it looks brand new, which I like the look of. I don't like the look of an old beat up cab, but so I wanted to make the old one look nice. Now I'll have my first Marshall full stack, which should be pretty cool. Just looking forward to just having that on display. Maybe ripping it one day, I don't know. You know, live, I don't know. So I'm feeling good about this. Again, I'm moving it in all directions, just to make sure it gets in to all those little grooves and all the fibers. Okay. All right, I feel good about that. This is at George's house for a long time, and he's a cat guy. And I'm just pulling tons of cat hairs off of this thing all over the place. Thanks, George. I'd give a shout out to your cat, but I can't remember its name. My bad. All right. Okay, so just putting this on carefully. And once both sides have this, I'll feel better about kind of applying some pressure. Okay, now, very carefully, like what I said I was gonna do, just gonna kind of sandwich this a little bit here, just massage that Just making sure it feels flush everywhere, which it does. I think I've done a nice job, or a decent job. One thing dude did in the video I watched, he pulled the tape off before it was totally dry. And he was kind of just like, I'm just giving this a shot, you know, sort of thing. So it left me wondering, should I do that too? Should I come back in an hour and pull that off? And actually said that it allows the glue there to have a little more airflow and to dry. But like, I'm kind of thinking, should I just leave it overnight? So that's something I'm going to decide. And we'll hear about those results when I come back after this is dry, and we'll take a look. Hopefully all that dries clear. The tape comes off well, which I'll definitely show you. I'll definitely turn on the cameras when I turn on the, when I tape off the tape, whether I decide to do it before I think the glue is totally dry or not. So also, since we've got nothing else to do right now, until this dries up, is I'm going to talk about that part. So it's the front corner guards for the Marshall valve state, and I'll show some footage or a picture on screen here. Those particular angles that you see there on the front of the valve state head, we can't find anywhere. They're not the same as the ones that are on a cab. We can't find them anywhere. And please, before you comment, I don't need any comments like, try here, try here. We've been looking for almost a year. We've tried looking everywhere we possibly can. So if you say, oh, try Stu Mac, or I've looked at all those Marshall reseller parts places, everything like that. None of them seem to have them. So if you happen to comment, if you happen to know, I'm not gonna look at that. I need a direct link. Or if you can't leave a link in the comment, which is weird, I don't know why this works some way on YouTube. Sometimes people can leave links, sometimes they can't. Same with me. I'll try to leave a link in somebody else's video in a comment to point them towards something. Sometimes it shows up, sometimes it doesn't. As a YouTube creator, I have not found any way to control that, like allow users to leave comments or links in comments. I don't know. And sometimes people can. People leave me links, and other times people tell me they can't leave a link. So I have no idea how that works. So if you do know where you can get that, those two front angled corner guards for a valve state VS100, please leave a link, or just say, this is the exact spot where I found them. Even just type out the web address, something like that. That would be totally awesome. But I'm not expecting anything, maybe even like 3D printing them, you know, I've thought of, but I guess you need the schematics or whatever that's called for that. I have no idea, but yeah, we're looking for those. I actually just reached out to a dude from Sweetwater who works on amps all day. This was just yesterday. I haven't heard back yet. But he said anytime I needed anything to hit him up, like a year ago. So I decided to take him up on that. So maybe he'll have an answer for me. I'm not sure, but until we get those corner guards, which were damaged, slightly damaged prior to the restoration initiation, but then damaged beyond reuse, taking them off, because all the Marshall stuff is rivets, you know, at least for those, not screws or anything, it's rivets. So like getting those rivets out was a big pain in the ass for George, and those things, you know, they just kind of fell apart after he took them off because they were already damaged. So yep, that's that. Looking for those. Anybody can help, I'd appreciate it. If not, don't waste your time. And okay, that's gonna do it for this half of the video. And just like that, we'll be back in a moment with the results. All right, so it is now the next morning, and it looks like the glue hasn't dried at all. You still see that big white spot, or at least it hasn't dried clear. But I did sneak down last night, probably about 4 hours or so after I turned off the cameras before, after I, you know, had just finished up that step of the process, because it was just stuck in my mind. Should I pull off the tape? You know, what I was worrying about earlier. Should I pull off the tape early and let things air dry? And to my surprise, all the white stuff there that you see looks like glue stuck to the tape. The tape came off perfectly, and the white stuff stuck to the tape. and everything kind of looked good. I just peeled back like a corner and noticed that was happening. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna let this go till the morning. And that's what I did. So now we're gonna take the tape off for sure and decide whether I'm gonna continue to let it air dry and show you more results after that, or if we're gonna wrap it up here. I don't know yet. Here we go. So I'd like to get a close up of this so you can see if I can. Here we go. I'm gonna pull this whole guy off. Come on, focus. Pulls off easily, and you can see that the white stuff just is totally on the tape. Okay, dude, and that looks pretty darn good. At least to my eyes. I'm looking through the camera here, and you know, it was kind of, anyways, I don't know how well you can tell, but it is nice and flush. Look at that, that's a good shot. It is nice and flush, and it appears that it needs to dry more. Let's go to the back side and pull that off. But, oh damn, dude, yeah, it looks really good. Like what I was hoping for. Okay. Here's what the back side looks like. See, still just super white. Let's go ahead and pull this tape off. Do I want to go from the bottom there? There we go. Okay, the big reveal. Again, it just comes off nicely. Dude was right. And we're looking good there. Looks good. So I'd call that a success. But as you can see, I'm still thinking that that's gonna, it still looks wet to me. I'm not really sure. Maybe that's how it's just gonna look forever, which is fine, doesn't matter. It's gonna be behind a screen anyways. But I'm thinking now that I have that tape off, in another couple hours, hopefully that won't look wet. I don't know whether it's wet or not. Should I kind of just don't want to mess with it because I'm not exactly sure if it just needs another couple hours. It probably does since it was covered by the tape. So we're gonna call it a success. I'll tell you what, we'll let it sit for a couple hours and I'll come back and we'll take another look and see if it's changed at all. If it hasn't changed, job's done. If it has changed, job's done. So it worked. I'm happy with the way it looks. I don't want to touch it yet though, which is kind of going to be my final test. I want to just see that the whole thing moves uniformly, together and kind of acts how I'd expect it to act as I kind of move it in and out, the whole speaker. And yeah, we'll go from there. So one more little segment. I'll see you in a couple hours. All right, so it has been a couple hours and it looks drier to me. It probably doesn't look drier to you. It feels drier. I feel confident touching on here. If this main spot is gonna go away, I kind of think it's gonna continue to just get a little bit lighter as it dries, maybe like overnight tonight or whatever, but we're not gonna sit through that. At least you aren't. I'm gonna move this, get it out of the way somewhere. The way I have my room set up right now, I got a camera here, a big light here. It's blocking my chair from my desk, so I can't even sit at the desk. I wanna get this thing over with. So I'm gonna go set this in another room and just leave it overnight, and maybe that will get a little lighter there as it continues to dry. But again, I don't really care. I was just curious whether it was gonna look dry or not. Again, it looks drier to me after just 2 hours of sitting here, so leads me to believe it's gonna continue to look drier over time. Maybe that side, see, is blending in a little bit more. But the whole thing, I don't want to touch too much here, but it's moving just fine. So I consider this a success, at least for what it was. If you've made it this far, I commend you. I know this isn't really an exhilarating topic, but maybe you were just here to hang, which I appreciate so much, all you guys. So if you're not subscribed to the channel and this video doesn't make you want to, then I don't know what will. But if you want to hit that subscribe button, I'd appreciate it. Check out the description box below for some cool links, my DVD, Patreon community, sign up for my newsletter, stuff like that. You can find all that in the description box below, as I already mentioned. So thanks, Rob Arnold, signing off on this one with another, I guess, successful guitar maintenance type deal. So yeah, that's it. Hey, one last update. Just a quick little thing here to show you. It is now the next day. So 2 full days since the initial application, and that's the way it looks. It's totally dry. You can still see, obviously, where the repair was made, but it's totally dry. It's cool. That's the way it's gonna look. No big deal. And I'm thinking I may even add one more just light coat on there, because why not? Just for a little added security, right? Can't hurt. Peace.